Hello and welcome to Matt's Garage. Today I am going to turn this pallet into a paint table. Now I have a fairly small shop. I mean, small is relative, but this garage is roughly 20 feet wide and 22 feet deep. So it's a nice space, but I really don't have a dedicated painting spot. And painting is messy. Painting takes up benchtop space. What I had been doing for for a project in the kitchen, where I've taken all the kitchen cabinets off, painted the face frame, and now I'm painting the cabinet doors and drawer faces, was to just use this pallet surface flipped over and just rest it either here or on my sawhorses. Well, the sawhorses, one of them is kind of busted. I really don't feel like getting new sawhorses. How do you say that word? Saw horses. Um, and so it struck me that this is a nice, reasonably stable surface. I had actually disassembled it and reassembled it, just moved where the cross member was. And so what I did was I went on Amazon and I picked up these little folding table leg brackets. Now, I was originally going to buy just a set of folding table legs, but they cost about $70, which is fine. But I thought, hey, I've got enough scrap wood laying around. I saw one video of, I think it was DIY Montreal, whose channel I will link below, just fantastic woodworking and DIY shop channel. And she used these, and I said, well, that's it. Between these and some scrap, I should be able to solve this problem and turn this little table into a very workable paint surface. The legs will fold up. I'll lean it up against my, in a corner somewhere, or probably against the scrap rack, and we'll be done with it. Now, one thing about these brackets, of course, is that if I had this bracket and this bracket, the opposing bracket, in the exact same orientation with respect to the edge of the board here, then of course the legs would fold on top of each other. They'd never really fold. So I decided and believe fairly strongly that this is going to be very stable if I just offset every other one. So this one is all the way out at the edge. This one is all the way out at the edge. This one is offset approximately the width of one of these brackets, and this one is offset approximately the width of one of these brackets. So will the legs be forming a perfect square or a perfect rectangle on the ground when they're folded out? No. Will it matter for stability? I don't think so, but we're going to find out. So what I'm going to do is mount these brackets. They're pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go a little bit off the edge a little bit so I have enough wood to bite into. This is just some scrap pine. Again, this was a pallet. I think the hardy plank for the shed, if you look at the shed build, came on one of these planks, and I feel like I cut it down, like they were somewhat longer than this, but honestly, I don't recall. So I'm just going to grab a self-centering drill bit, grab a battery, just a little pre-drill to be safe. So we'll jump right in here. I really should grab another drill with the proper bit to screw things in. Do that. And by the way, virtually every screw you come across in most of these assemblies has a P2 Phillips head. I bought this 5-pack, I don't know, probably well over a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, of the Hercules brand number 2, 2-inch long Phillips Impact Power Bits. I'll link below. I have to say, like, super impressed with these. I forget how much they cost, but it's Harbor Freight, so the answer is not much. Um, I had chewed through so many other brands. I don't want to mention too many big brands because I don't want them to get mad at me. But let's just say, you know, brands whose colors you're familiar with, and just chewed them up in no time. These things, I still haven't thrown one out. They're a little chewed up, one or two of them, but for the most part, they are very, very solid. Let's make sure I'm going in the right direction here. Just going to pop one of these in. Do it lightly at first, then we'll finish it up. All right, so there's two there. I think I'll just go with one additional. There's a whole array of holds here, which is nice, and I see one that's just about in the right spot. I think I'll need an extension, though, to get to it. Also, I have to say, very pleased with the extensions from the same place, from Harbor Freight. Bought a 3-pack of these of different lengths. I mean, you don't really need much out of an extension other than it doesn't fall apart, and it holds the bit well, and it holds well in the driver. This one covers all 3 of those. It does fine. So we'll go over here, get ourselves a starter hole, grab another screw. Also going to need an extension here. I'll just grab one of the shorter extensions. Should be fine. Just because the hardware, the mechanism of the leg bracket is sort of in the way. No big deal. We'll just get right in there. All right. As they say, that's not going nowhere. So let me do the other 3, and then we'll start looking through the scrap bin and try to find some table legs. See you in a minute. Okay, we're over here at the scrap rack, which I don't think I've shown my viewers before. I'll step out of the way for a second. It's a repurposed folding table leg bench that once I built the shop here 3 years ago, I really didn't need it. I didn't have room for it. I knew I was going to be building other furniture. Just some scrap laminated MDF and plywood that I used for the tops for a lot of the shop furniture. Sort of an A-frame. There's a small angle, maybe a 10-degree angle at the back, so the forward pieces are vertical. The rear pieces are angled back. A couple of roughly triangular shaped pieces here on the side to give it a little stiffness. Three shelves and the top shelf. So it's really good. It does take up a lot of room, but the good thing is, and back to our project, is I found 3 out of the 4 table legs. These are just some ripped down 2x4s. I forget exactly why I was using ripped down 2x4s, but I'm sure there was a very good reason for it. I had a couple of these laying around. I had 2 that are approximately the same size, virtually the same size. One piece that's a little longer. It's got a bit of a warp in it, but I think if I cut off just past this knot, it'll be good enough for this project. But we're not going to make a table with just 3 legs. That would be a stool. But I did find a couple of pieces that I think I can laminate together and turn into the 4th table leg. Let's go over to the other side of the rack, and I'll show you what I mean. So I did find, it looks like more ripped down 2x4s, but for some reason these were ripped down closer to about 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch. So if I can get a couple of these out, and you'll get to see whether or not all sorts of stuff on this shelf that this stuff is sitting on collapses. I'm trying to push this lower piece in so that we don't get a workshop Jenga. Sort of playing workshop. You know how it is when you pull stuff out, you're always sort of playing workshop Jenga. All right, that's about it. If something's going to happen, it's going to happen right about now. Hey, not bad. So these are 1 by, we'll call them one by maybe 1.5 or two. In any case, it feels like two of these together, um, glued and pin nailed together, are going to be just about the same size as our other leg stock here, and this should do the trick. So let's get back over to the bench. Let's fabricate a leg out of this material, and then we'll cut everything down to size, and I'll show you what length I chose so I get a nice height for the table. Let's get to it. All right, we've got our stock for our table legs. Now let's figure out what length they need to be, and then I'll cut everything down to length, and then we'll assemble these two to make an actual leg. So the thickness of this board is 3/4 of an inch, we'll call it. The brackets are offset on another piece of 3/4 inch stock. But what I think I'll do, and you can't quite see it here, I'll try to get you a close-up and put it in the video, is that if I put the legs so that the bottom edge of the leg touches the bottom face of the actual tabletop, then that's the actual height. That's where the height measurement will start. So I would like the table to be 34 inches high. That actually matches the height of the assembly table. It's a little bit shorter than my table saw. It's a little bit shorter than my cabinets over on the miter station. 34 is a good solid height. So 34 minus 3/4 is going to give us leg stock that needs to be 33 1/4 inches. So let's head over to the miter station. We'll measure one and cut it. We'll set up a stop block, and we'll quickly cut the other pieces of stock. All right, we're over at the miter station, which I think you've seen incidentally in some other videos. I think this is the first time that we're actually going to be using it live in one of the videos. I have my Bosch. I went for the 10-inch sliding miter saw. Really great saw. Spent a little bit of time getting it dialed in. There's some adjustments on the back to get everything squared and true. I have a CMT blade in it. I want to say it is a cabinet maker, CMT cabinet maker's blade, 60 tooth. So I keep a finer finish blade in this saw because I use it for furniture making. So I want the cuts on my aprons, for example, and my legs to be as square and true as I can get them. So we said that we needed a 33 1/4 inch measurement. So I'm going to measure one of these pieces. I'm going to start with one of these pieces. They look like the straightest and the truest. That'll help me get the stop block set well, so that even some of the wonky pieces work out well. I want to say that these are edges that I cut. That looks pretty square, but I'm going to just, you know what? I'll say for a shop project we can use speed square level of accuracy. This seems very good. I'm not worried about this causing me any problems. In fact, I'm going to keep the speed square out. I use it all the time at the miter station for going from a measurement mark to an actual line that I'm going to follow. So I'm going to call this the good end that we just said was reasonably square. Let's go out 33 1/4. Plenty of room here. This is about a 35 1/2 inch piece, so we'll get to 33 1/4. I am using my Pica Dry pencil with just graphite lead in it. I know that there are all sorts of religious wars about this pen. Some people think it's overkill. Some people just swear by it. It was at the counter at somewhere, Rockler Woodcraft, one of those places. I had seen it on videos and said, all right, let me pick one up. I think they had a little discount on it. I love it. It's got a nice big piece of lead. It's perfect for this level of marking. If I'm doing finer work, I have the 0.7 millimeter, just from Staples Pentel mechanical pencil. And if I really don't care, if I really need a rough measurement, I still have the basic carpenter's pencil. This is from my local lumber yard, Sterrett Lumber. So I've got the mark. Let's grab the speed square, transfer that to a line that I'll actually be able to see. Remember, when you're marking, even for something that, you're a little shop project, get your pencil on the line you just made and then score. That gives you the line that you want. Let's get things set up. Now, I don't have my miter saw bolted down yet. It's one of those, yeah, let's do that. So I do spend just a second before I do cuts with the stop block to convince myself that it is parallel to this table front. That's generally good enough for the stop block to do its trick. Let me get all the other materials out of the way. We'll get this cut done on this side. Safety glasses. No hearing protection. Yeah, I should. No, I don't. Dust collection. Let's see if measuring once and cutting once works. 33 1/4. Very nice. All right, now, because of the length of my stock, people do stop blocks in all sorts of different ways. Some people put it to the right of the work. Some people put it to the left. In this case, I'm going to put it to the left, only because I want to make sure I have a good surface to hold on, and I want the offcut to not be trapped. I want the good piece, rather, to not be trapped between the stop block and the blade. I think that's generally a good habit. My stop block is currently all the way over on the other side, though, so we're going to have to, one, get it off, and two, we'll have to feed it back on. I probably need to redesign it at some point, but it does the trick. It's just an old scrap of wood. In fact, it's a little bit of a glue up, because I have just a little T on the bottom so that it stays true in the T-track. I've never really talked about my miter station. Maybe at some point when I do a shop tour, which I am planning on doing, I can walk you through in detail what happens here. So what I'm going to do to set the stop block is I'm going to drop the blade down, careful not to get my hand anywhere near it. I'm going to let the blade just kiss the work. Don't know if you can hear that. That was a little scrape. I'm going to call that good enough. I'm going to hold this here so it doesn't move. I'm going to get my stop block in place. In fact, I'm just going to get this out of the way here. Okay, just a little kiss. Very nice. So we can get our next piece of wood. We can put it in place against the stop block. Dust collection. Safety glasses. And we're going to keep going. All right, got some leg stock. None of them are perfect, uh, but again, I think for this project, they will do just fine. So next step will be I'm going to glue these two pieces up and just pin nail them together so that they become the fourth leg. I'll probably do that off camera. It's not terribly interesting to you. I think you've seen me do glue ups before, and you certainly have done a few yourself if you've been woodworking for a while. So let me take care of that, and then it'll be back over to the table, and we'll do the leg installation and the first test of our new paint table. See you in a minute. All right. So you can see I've got the two thinner pieces in some clamps. They've been glued and pin nailed. We're going to let those set up for a while. But meantime, I think we can start installing the other three legs. So the brackets are nice in that they have a wide set of ears up here in case you're using, I think, 2x4 material. But the legs that I've chosen, a little bit of serendipity, really just are the exact right width for the bottom part of this bracket. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 holds there. Two of them are pretty much close to impossible to get to. I don't even know how you would screw into them. So I'm going to start with the upper two and then think about stuff. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. I think even if I took these brackets off the table base, which I will not do, I still would have a hard time getting to them. So let's start with two, and we'll take it from there. I've taken the extensions off of the tools for the time being. I don't think I need them to get in here. No, I don't. And as I mentioned before, I just have the leg resting on the underside of the table slats. I'm not doing any fancy clamping, anything like that. I'm just drilling some pilot holes and quickly coming by with a screw. Nothing too crazy here. Again, this is a paint table. It's not going to have anything heavier than, a cabinet door maybe, or a face frame or something like that, picture frame. So I'm not too worried about the the load bearing capability. I mean, those are pretty good right there. Again, not too worried about it. For symmetry's sake, I'm going to take the one that's made out of the same stock. Make sure I got my orientation right. Yep, that's how I like it. And use it over here. We'll do the same thing. We're doing the finger alignment method. It's a very good method for this sort of job. Going to grab those top two holds. Quick pilot hole drill. I mean, this is pine. Chances are I could drill through it without any problems, but it doesn't hurt since I have the two drivers to have the self-centering bit for the pilot holds in one, and the P2 Phillips head bit in the other. There we go. Doesn't even have to be in there straight initially, as long as it's being held. Also good. Well, now an interesting thing can happen. Didn't even think of it before. You can figure out how these things fold. That's the locked position. I think it said move this thing up in order to fold them. So I'm going to try to figure out how folding actually works. Ah, look at that, folding. Okay. So that is in fact folding. And that's locked. Let's see what this one's like. So lift up to fold. I see, you have to lift it up just a little higher than I thought. This leg has a little bit of a warp in it. I don't know if you can quite see on camera, but it's definitely bowing in this way. I sort of knew it was a little bowed, but a third screw, if I can figure it out, might get us exactly where we need to be. I mean, I like what I'm seeing so far from these brackets. They seem to be fine. There's a little bit of play once they move back and forth once or twice, but I think once it's flipped over and there's some weight on it, should be good. All right, when we come back, I will have mounted the fourth leg. I just want to let that dry for another hour or two, and we'll do the big reveal. We'll flip it over, and we'll see how it works. I'll probably set it up probably in front of the scrap rack where we were before. I don't have a specific painting location. Maybe I'll try that for the next cabinet door that I have to paint and see if that works. It's a mobile table. The nice thing about it is that I can put it anywhere I want. Okay, be back in a second. All right, we're back. So let that last leg dry and set up. Took the dog for a walk, put on a shirt because it was a little cold, had some dinner, and installed that last leg. Oh, and made a cup of coffee. So let's put the coffee to the side for a second. Nothing like an after dinner coffee. Let's see how it turned out. Again, I generally like the action. They all seem to be, reasonably stable. This one's the wobbliest of them all. It's not because of the screws. I think if there's any tightening mechanism, I will figure out how to do so. But otherwise, I like what I'm seeing. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk this over to the to the spot in front of the scrap rack and see how it goes. I think to do that, though, I'm going to fold the legs down. It's a bit like when you build drawers. You always want to open and close them a couple of hundred times. So let's see if we can get this over to the other side of the shop. This is my first time picking it up. I've picked up the obviously the board itself, the slat board. It's really not that heavy. If I had to estimate, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 pounds. So let's go for a walk. All right, so here we are, the great reveal. I don't quite know how to open this other than maybe I'll stand on this side of it and we'll flip the legs open one at a time and then just flip it forward and see what happens. Okay, legs are out. I'm going to grab here and here, bring it up, get them positioned. Okay, it's not bad. I think for light duty painting, this would be fine. I think for sanding with the machine, it'll be fine. It's got a little bit of a wobble to it, but not too bad. Let's just check the height. And we're really right at that 34, 33 and 15/16. So I'm pretty happy with this. Um, I think as a temporary work surface, it's going to work out just fine. I might make a small refinement here and there. I don't know, maybe I'll put a dowel or a threaded rod between the top of the legs to get them stiffened in this dimension. But for what I need it to do, I think this is going to be perfect. So let's fold it back up and we'll see you in the next one. Make sure you like this video if this was helpful to you. I think this is a great idea. Um, really all reclaimed wood. And I want to say, I don't know, uh, very inexpensive brackets. If they were $25, it was a lot. Um, and super useful work service for light duty tasks like painting and very light sanding. So make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.